Okay, so where we're up to now is we've got this device, and we have this device all fully configured for BGP, and we've got these links on these sides on Ps 3 and Ps 2 already done. So what we need to do now is we're just going to quickly jump onto Pe4 just to finish the BGP configuration, and then we'll do an external BGP between PE1 and CE1, and we should then be able to get some routes coming in. So let's get cracking with that. So let's go set CLI Logical Systems PE4, and let's do a show configuration protocols BGP. Okay, so we have no BGP configured at all, so let's get cracking with that. So config, and let's do set routing options and autonomous system 6500. Excellent. Now set protocols BGP group, and we're going to call this one internal, and the type is internal. Great stuff. The local address is going to be 4.4.4.4, and its neighbor is going to be 2.2.2.2 and 3.3.3.3. And let's commit and quit. Fantastic. Okay, let's do a show BGP neighbor. Okay, so we can see now that it's going through the handshake for BGP. So neighbor on P2 is inactive, and neighbor for P3 is currently in active state as well. So let's do that command again, and it should now be established. Let's have a look. Fantastic. Okay, so as we can see here, we are now established for P2. And we are also established here for PE3. Great stuff. All right, so we have our nation. So where we're at the moment now then is we have full BGP peerings between Ps1 and P2, Ps1 and P3, Ps3 and P4, and Ps4 back to P2. So that's exactly where we want it to be. So what we're going to do now is we're going to jump onto PE1, and we're going to create an external peering with CE1. So let's jump on and do that. Let's bring up the command line and set CLI logical system, and the logical system is going to be PE1. Okay, and go into configuration mode, and we're going to do set protocols BGP group, and this is an external BGP session now, so it's going to be a completely different group. So I'm just going to call the group EXT, and the type is external. Fantastic. And we're going to set our local address Now, when we was doing the internal BGPs, we was peering on the loopbacks. However, we can't do that here. So we was peering on 1.1.1.1 to 2.2.2.2. That's absolutely great. But with an external BGP peer, you need to go on your publicly facing IP address, so or interface IPs, because the problem with external BGP is that it's a TTL of 1. So if the BGP hello messages and the updates need to go more than one hop, then they're automatically going to drop. You can configure multi-hop on that, but as standard, what you need to do is to ensure you go from interface to interface IP. Okay, so we're going to set local group. So the local address is going to be our outgoing interface. So on PE1C1, so that's going to be 172.16.1.1. Fantastic. And then what we need to do now, we now need to set our neighbor. So we're going to do our neighbor, and the neighbor is going to be 172.16.1.2, and now we need to tell it what autonomous system it is in. So peer AS is 65001, and that is it. Show pipe compare. So as we can see, we've got our external group. The type is external. We have our local address, which is now the physical interface, and I use physical in quotation marks because of course it's a logical tunnel. We have our neighbor and it's peer AS. So great stuff. Let's commit that, and let's jump on to CE1. So set CLI logical system CE1. Let's do a show interface test just to make sure I have. Okay, so as we can see here, I have the interface as 172.16.1.111. Okay, that would make sense actually, because I've used the logical tunnel as 111. Okay, so I'll have to go back onto P1 to change the neighbor address. I'll do that in a minute once I've set this up here. So go into configuration mode, and again we need to set our autonomous system on this first. So set routing options, autonomous system, and 65001. Fantastic. Now we're going to do our external BGP. So set protocols, BGP, group, and again we can call it exactly the same if you want, it's not a problem. External type is external. Excellent stuff. So now let's set our local address, which should be 172.16.1.111, and let's set our neighbor, which is 172.16.1.1, and we need to say its autonomous system is, so peer AS is 65000. Excellent. So commit and quit. Alright, so of course the neighborship's not going to come up because as I said, I used the incorrect interface address for the neighbor on P1, so I'm going to have to go through now and change that. So set CLI logical systems as PE1. See if we do a show BGP neighbor. Okay, see now it's showing us that the peer is there, 172.16.1.2. However, that is not correct because the state is in connect, because it can't actually send the TCP packets to it. There's no route to that, so it's in connect. So we need to change that. So go into configuration mode, and let's go into edit protocols, BGP group external, do a show. Fantastic. So we can either delete the neighbor or we can do a replace. Let's try do a replace. So replace and pattern, and we're going to do replace pattern 172.16.1.2, and now we can do with 172.16.1.111, and let's do a show. Fantastic. So there you go, nice and easy. Commit that and quit. Brilliant stuff. Show BGP neighbor, and we're going to do 172.16.1.111, and as we can see now, the neighborship is established. So as we see, the neighborship is now established. Fantastic. So what we want to do, we want to see if any routes are currently now being learned. So let's have a look. Oh, okay. So as we can see here, in the active, received and advertised prefixes, we have nothing. They're all 0, which is obviously a little bit of a problem for us. So what's happening here is with BGP will accept any routes that are sent to it from BGP. So if this device sends a BGP route, this device will automatically accept it. However, it won't send any routes until you've configured them. So unlike ISIS and OSPF, which are link state protocols, in other words, they need to know all the routes that are contained on all the other devices within their area. BGP doesn't work that way. BGP will only advertise what you tell it to advertise, and that will only work with you have to apply policy statements for that. So we're going to do that in the next video. We're going to create policy statements to start advertising some routes out between PE1 and CE1, and then we're going to see if we can propagate these routes. Can we see them in the routing tables for the rest of the BGP neighbors? So quickly before we do that, let's bring back up the command line and let's do a show route. Oops, the daisy. So show route protocol BGP, and as we can see, there's no routes that we've learned on via BGP at all. Okay, so let's quickly jump on again as well. Set CLI Logical Systems CE1, just so you can see the neighborship is up. Show BGP summary. Okay, so as you can see, we have our neighborship to P, as we can see here, to 172.16.1.1, which is PE1. So we have our neighborship, it's just not getting any routes. So in the next video, we're going to set some routing policies up and get some of these routes flowing. See you then.